I never imagined that a peaceful afternoon by my pond could escalate into one of the most ridiculous confrontations with HOA Karen. But that Saturday, as I was feeding the fish and checking the aeration system, she appeared at the edge of my property, standing on the bank and pointing angrily while claiming that she had the right to inspect and monitor water features for safety compliance. And before I could even respond, she leaned over and accidentally stepped into some fresh manure left by our nearby bull, slipping and nearly falling into the pond, which caused her to scream, flail, and immediately start yelling about health hazards and negligent pond maintenance. While I kept my distance, filming the scene to document her antics for the HOA and authorities if necessary, and as she attempted to regain her footing, she continued berating me, saying she would report me for violations, fines, and even legal action for unsafe pond conditions, despite the fact that the pond was fully fenced, well-maintained, and equipped with signage warning guests about water depth, and she ignored repeated explanations that it was private property, that no HOA rule authorized her inspection, and that all safety measures were legally compliant. And just as she started shouting louder, the bull, which had been grazing nearby, noticed the commotion and, curious and territorial, began moving toward her, and she suddenly realized too late that she had provoked a massive animal while standing in its path, screaming and waving her arms frantically while trying to retreat, slipping again in the manure and falling backward, barely avoiding the bull's horns. And at that moment I calmly called 911 to report a trespasser in a potentially dangerous situation, while continuing to film everything, knowing that this would provide irrefutable evidence of her reckless behavior. And within minutes, deputies arrived, quickly securing the area, keeping Karen safe but also issuing her a stern warning that entering private property without permission, interfering with livestock, and creating unsafe conditions could result in criminal charges. And as she was escorted off the property, muttering incoherently about bylaws, safety inspections, and board authority, I took the opportunity to reinforce the fencing, post additional warning signs, and notify the HOA in writing, including the video footage, which clearly showed her trespass, reckless behavior, and complete disregard for property rights. And within a few days, the HOA issued a formal statement distancing themselves from her actions, removing her from any committee or enforcement roles, and making it clear that no member had the authority to enter private property uninvited, tamper with animals, or attempt unauthorized inspections. And the neighbors, many of whom had witnessed her near miss with the bull, expressed both relief and amusement, sharing clips among themselves that quickly spread through the community group chat, effectively ending her influence while reaffirming that private property, safety, and common sense always supersede personal vendettas, leaving me confident that my pond, livestock, and property were fully protected and that HOA Karen's reign of overreach had finally met its limits in the most dramatic and, frankly, unforgettable way.